Hi guys, welcome back to Bible. So yesterday we talked about Peter and how he needed to trust God during a time when he was afraid, but he didn't. He was so scared and he took his eyes off Jesus instead of just really trusting that God was going to guide him and protect him. So I kind of just want to review with you guys a little bit about what we talked about yesterday. I am going to chat with some of you guys today, so you will have the opportunity to say your memory verse to me. I hope you guys have been practicing. I wrote it in the email I sent, but it's Deuteronomy 31:8. So I hope you guys have been practicing a little bit, and then those of you who are FaceTiming with me today, you'll get the chance to recite it to me for extra credit. And then those who are FaceTiming with me tomorrow, you will get the chance to recite it to me for extra credit as well. Okay, so that's definitely something you guys can be practicing. But I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about Peter. So Peter, before this happened, he had a really close relationship with Jesus. So he had witnessed several of Jesus's miracles. So think about you guys. How many of you guys have witnessed a miracle from Jesus? Now, back then, miracles looked a little bit different. The people could see them with their own eyes. They could see Jesus healing lepers. Remember, we talked about that. We could see Jesus healing blind people. Nowadays, we don't necessarily get to see Jesus himself healing, but miracles definitely happen all over the world. People pray and Jesus does answer prayers. He has healed people who have been sick. He has done miracles in my own life. He has really answered prayers that I didn't even know that I had. So Jesus definitely continues to work miracles, and that's something so comforting to know at a time like this when everything's going on in the world and people are getting sick, but we can trust that we serve a God who can do anything, and he will handle this situation the way he wants to handle it, and we need to trust that the way that God chooses to handle this is the right way. Even if we don't understand it, we know that God is in control, always, okay? So Peter had a close relationship with Jesus. He had seen many miracles. Peter knew that Jesus was powerful, and he knew that he could trust Jesus. So before he went out on this boat, he knew who Jesus was, and he knew that he could trust him. However, he still let his fear get the best of him in that moment. Knowing everything Jesus has done, witnessing Jesus heal people, he still doubted him in the moment where Jesus needed him to trust him the most. So Peter would have been able to walk on the sea until he reached Jesus. Jesus said to Peter, "Walk towards me and you will be able to touch me. You will be able to get to me. All you need to do is keep your eyes on me and I will guide you." And Peter got off the boat and walked towards Jesus, but he heard the waves crashing and the thunder roaring. And in that moment, he lost his focus and lost his faith, and he began to look around, scared and afraid, and that's when he began to sink. So in our lives, I know for me personally, when I am dealing with a problem or a situation where I want to handle it on my own, and instead of knowing that Jesus will guide me and lead me, I sometimes will be like, no, I'm going to do this all on my own. And instead of keeping my eyes on Jesus, I begin to take my eyes off Jesus and keep my eyes on the world and what the world is telling me, and let other people come into my mind and distract me from God. And that's when I begin to sink. And I might not literally begin to sink in water, but I begin to sink in life. And that's when I start to feel anxious and scared and confused. And that is me sinking down because I chose to not trust God and I chose to not keep my eyes on Jesus. Okay, so The storm stopped as soon as Jesus got back on the boat. He had power over nature. So imagine it's pouring and raining and lightning and thundering, and you're in your bedroom and you're terrified. But then Jesus walks into the storm and it stops. So that's basically what happened. There was the worst storm out on the ocean, and all the disciples were in the boat, and it was rocking them, and waves were crashing. And the second Jesus stepped on the boat, the storm stopped, because he has power over everything. He has power over all of nature, okay? And then the disciples began to trust him, and they worshiped him. But it took them failing almost in order for them to trust him. And as Christians, God doesn't want us, he doesn't want us to fail. He wants us to trust him from the beginning. And a lot of times that's so hard for us to do, and we want to do it all on our own. But Jesus wants us to just trust him, and then he will lead us and he will guide us, just like he did with the disciples out on the ocean. Okay, so you guys are going to answer some questions. I'm gonna write them in the email that I sent your parents, or I wrote them in the email you sent your parents by the time you see this, and you guys will answer them. I'm gonna read them out loud. You guys can write them as I'm reading, or you can think about your answer and then go write them after you're done watching this. But I wanna read to you the question. So how was it possible for Peter to walk on water? How was he able to walk on water? Okay. Number 2 is, why was Peter the only disciple to experience the miracle on the sea? So Jesus told the disciples that they could all walk towards him, but Peter was the only one who tried to walk on water towards Jesus. So why was he the only one? Now that one we didn't really talk about that much, so I'll go ahead and share with you guys. It's because Peter was the only one who believed that Jesus would let him walk on water. And even though Peter trusted God enough to step out of the boat, in the midst of him walking, that's when he began to lose his faith and doubt God. So at first, he was the only disciple to trust Jesus, but then his trust started to fade as he got out on the ocean and got more scared. Okay, number 3. What did Jesus ask Peter as he began to sink in the water? So what did Jesus ask Peter as he began to sink in the water? You guys are going to write this down. And number 4, how are some problems that we face like a storm? So how are some problems that we're afraid of and scared of in life, how is that similar to the storm that Peter faced? Okay, so I'll give you an example for me. This whole pandemic, not being able to see you guys every day and teach you guys in person, that's definitely been hard on a lot of us. Not being able to go certain places because everything's closed. That's like, it might not be a physical storm, but it's something that's like a storm that's happening in my life and in many lives. And it calls us to trust Jesus, just like it called Peter to trust Jesus. So think of something in your life that's like a storm, and that calls you to trust God with all your heart. And who has the power to stop all storms in the world? There's only one person, so I think you guys know the answer. Okay, so then you guys are going to answer those questions, and then you're going to do page 102. It looks like this, and there's a little word bank on the side, and you guys are just going to fill in the correct word for number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So high winds and waves, you're going to choose either fisherman, storm, disciples, Peter, sunk. And then so on for the rest. So you're gonna pick the word that matches the sentence, okay? So there's 5 words, 5 blanks, and you're gonna match the word bank to the sentences, okay? And that's page 102 in your Bible workbooks. So you're gonna do 2 things. You're gonna answer the questions on a sheet of paper that I just read, and then you guys are going to complete page 102. Okay? And practice, practice, practice your memory verse, because you will get the chance to recite it to me today or tomorrow, depending on when my FaceTime call with you guys is. All right, guys, see you soon, and I look forward to chatting with you later.